I think it's interesting to find that there are different versions of computers, operating system, upgrading, revision after revision, so that things get better, faster, more accurate. But when so many programs are going on, it takes time to process it because you need to organize things better, like a filing, and it's easy to use. And those you don't need to use, you put it aside. I think it's the same happens in our brain, and that's what I've been wondering about. This morning I was doing the tax filing, and there's different approaches because of the um, money laundries, stuff like that. And you have to report in a certain way, and there's a IRS form and others that kind of confuses. And when it comes to the foreign account, I have some here and there, make it kind of complex. But that's a necessity of living life. And what I'm talking about with this computer analogy and also this protocol, the procedures of the IRS, the tax authority, and the legal issues, those are the necessary things to happen for the society to progress. In the meantime, as much as computer improves, we may remain somewhat not as fast moving, so that it may be quite natural for us to die away for the new one to come. So there's this way some people want to put themselves in the frozen environment of liquid nitrogen so that they can come back 100 years later or whatever, so that they can live again. But if I were one of those, I'll be so confused because my brain will function so slowly compared to the new brain that they developed, the new artificial intelligence, if this planet still exists at the time. If it's not, then it's a lost cause. So it's kind of interesting to look at how the evolution takes place. And it's the reason of the age-old idea of the awakening and the question like who we really are, truly are. And if we have the sense of who we really are as a living being, but also connected to the law of the universe, because that's how we came about to be like this, and then all the changes taking place and how we navigate our life in our limited time of life. But looking at the whole picture, it will give us a sense of some perspective of what's going on. So when I was doing the tax, I was not happy about it because it's too complex and it's not easy to understand. And usually I don't use the accountant, but when you read the forms and the instructions, it's confusing. But that's what the situation is. And I hope the AI would improve, or AI will make it a case like Pandora's box, or the dragon coming out of the cage, as I often think that some odd stuff happens, like a nuclear accident. I was in nuclear, Fukushima safety analysis. Technology has a risk, a two-edged sword. So that's the problem. So that's the reality. We cannot do anything about it. So how we accept and still live life without too much disturbed, but happily. That will be a question, and it may remain to be a question, well, until all the human species die out or something, because it's an interesting question of how much can be done, and if that's the way of evolution, and if it's followed the law of nature as much as all the species developed and come thus far, and we'll have this brain develop and be able to use with assisting with the computer and AI, it's a fascinating, like a science fiction in action. But coming back to the reality of life, like my tax, filing and 2 hours of hearing out all the ups and downs and which goes where and how. It's not easy for some people. Easy because they're used to it, but it's to me one of the point that I want to share here is the analogy of the biological evolution and how we deal with the circumstance like tax and the AI and or the climate change and the craziness that can happen in politics and still maintain the calm and quiet mind, have some resolution, enjoy the ocean view and the sound of the wind chime, and be able to kind of laugh at yourself. So, point of the discussion, all of that is kind of like a preamble of the background of what the situation is. But coming back to the now, and where I see ourselves doing is, like I said, the tree analogy. And what I see it there is that the tree has a root, and then from the root things happens, and then branches, and some branches go this way or that way. This is too windy, so this branch may go much better. Or too high, it's no good. So, and then the water is running off, so you have to have the root going this way and that way. So according to the nature of how things are happening, the tree changes its form to grow. And if you look at the root as the analogy here is that the root is our core of our being. And if I have the core being and you have the core being, as human we have the common core being, or the living being may have the common core, and that I call it the law of the universe starting to function, to have the molecules put together and develop this amoeba or amino acid or combination of this and start to grow. This branch, this branch, this branch, and this get thrown away, and this is a new one comes. And that's what's happening. Impermanence. So stop there, the impermanence, and everything is impermanent. But one thing common is that there's the law of the universe functioning, so that may remain. And with that perspective, we see all things happening as the way of, as it isness, the nature, as if the tree is growing. And I'm one of those branches and a little tiny bit of here and there. And this branch may go away, or I may jump off to the other branch by connecting to the information process and whatever, so that the learning with each other of all the things happening, all the species grow and the human has the ability to connect much more, even with the AI's help, to grow better. So, what's the point of this? Let me think back. The point is, if I look at myself, there's a root, let's call it heart, or heart chakra, or the bottom chakra, where the life energy comes, and then all the chakras and it goes up, and the brain, and the far end of the brain is where things are happening, and here's the tax form, and this is the tomorrow's, dinner or whatever, and the meeting here and there. So there are lots of activities, a relationship, the health, and work, and hobby, and spiritual pursuit, all sorts of things happening here. So me trying to navigate requires some kind of framework to see what's going on. So I use the word of life profile to see prioritizing, so that the unbalanced to have some profile, which is root connected. So the heart and brain is connected, energy is flowing, no blockage, and all the noise is sorted out according to certain principle. So this is what I remember Buddha was saying, that he said somewhere, many places actually, the common phrase is, he is to follow the right logic, or right logic, let's say, and Dharma, the law of nature. That's the way to live. Yeah, I am to live with the right logic, or you can say rational thinking, rational logic, and following the root of who we are, laws of universe. That sounds right. So what that means is what I was wondering. What it means is that at the root, there's nothing we can do because that's where we came from, the root, the heart. The brain has all the fluctuations and up and down. So how we connect and how to not create a delusion, but how sort it out certain area in certain way, so that we have expression aligned to whole being, like a tree growing in a natural way and adjusting whatever the needs, the environment change and so forth, to be healthy and be happy in that process and move on to the next generation, and this process goes on. I think that's what Buddha was trying to orient when he said that. How about root and the logic, rational thinking, let's use the word, because the brain has the way of relating to the society's needs, and of course it's not perfect. That's why there's a struggle and the political divide, and some people go to jail and others are happy spending billions of dollars to some odd things or wonderful thing. So there are flowers and all the species of humans, going all the way around. But me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. I have some sense of what the society may need, and I want to orient my priority in that direction instead of sort of chopping off the unnecessary delusionally stuff, so that ego should be gone, but relating the society's needs, that I can align myself to have mission related to that. So root and energy, water and energy flows, processed for addressing the needs of the society, for the prosperity, may all beings be happy. It may sound far-fetched, and I think it's fairly simple to think that sounds right, and I don't want to be egocentric. That's why I said be sincere and truthful in whatever we do, to shift around all the information, all the fake news coming this way and that way, financial situation, health situation, relationship, tax code, this country, that country, up and down, news and all the stuff all over the place. Hopefully AI will help us to understand better. But this process would never end, is my guess. Because human beings are creative and crazy enough, all the nasty thing can happen as much as we get out of the Garden of Eden. So what? The answer is for each to find the destiny. And in simple terms, I said, use the brain, not to be used. Listen to your heart and live with the mission. How you use the brain, how you listen to the heart, how you find your mission. Those are the questions. But that's what each of us should do. And all I can think, at least as an example, is like Buddha did it his way. By meditating, calm and quiet mind, sitting, awaken. So there's a connection of awakening with the heart of who you are. And delusion is gone, clarity is there, wisdom is coming up, and the heart, compassion is there that people can relate to, be inspired to, so that the tree grows. That's one example. Let me have another example. Picasso may have one branch. I forgot the exact term what he said, but he said something like when he saw the world of turmoil or something, and he found that he can express something to represent that through the painting. That's what he said, that then he found his mission in life. It sounds great, and he is very much Zen-like in his talk. Painting stronger than me. It does what it wants. That's one of the quotes, if I remember correctly. So he is listening, expressing. Other example, but I mentioned in the other video about 92-year-old Japanese fitness trainer, Takemika, I think was her name. And when I saw her, I felt there's something coming out with a smile and the posture and how she present the case, and from the age 65 to change from fat and not doing things to the very physically fit person, and she found the mission. And from that comes how to do the breathing, how to walk tiptoe or go walk backward, all the somewhat funny story, but she's so passionate. So when I see her expressing what she does, wow. As much as Picasso, there's another example of the fitness trainer who has a mission, and she's living in that. And I feel there's some level of awakening, whether Zen and the spiritual issue may be seen somewhat different, but there's something connected to the root of who we are, that she feels right and happy and share it. And she says, age is just a number, just the power, be happy, alive, to express who you are. That's what she does. And I'm sure I mentioned about Buddha, but spiritual leaders, in any field, there are those I call branches coming out. So there's no form, but it's for each to find. And some may jump around, like me, I'm curious this way and that way, but still trying to figure out what is my real passion connecting to the root. And I'm just expressing the way I feel like in this YouTube form to kind of make sense out of what I'm trying to do or I'm doing. It's an explanatory process, continuous process, learning by making mistake. If you go too much this way, the branch is too heavy, so you have to lean back this way, or this is too much water, too much wind, all the stuff. And that's the turbulence we live in. And the new technology, AI, is coming up. But hopefully, the intention of this is to find the root of who we are, the energy source, why we are here, unexpressionable, but still have sense, so that we have lights in the eye to feel, and the body is to process that. And we have the baggage we're carrying from the wrongdoing or the stupid mistake or the ancestors' way of protocol that we inherited that may not fit to the current situation. So we have to go through this exercising. Stay calm and quiet. Like when I was doing this tax, this is a mess. I don't want to do this. But wait a minute. It's the same thing as if there's a street and trees falling down, I remove it. Same thing. The appearance may be different, but hurdles and how we can overcome. And if we have the spirit, and not jumping into conclusion and not the ego to take over, but rather for us to be open. And without, I have a headache, realize I have a headache. I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do it. But you need to. So it's a real resolution of every moment that we have to go through. And be encouraged as if to remove the rock on the road or whatever. Not for me, but for others as well, if there's a way. And be able to share those experiences and be still connected. Each have the same root of who we are. And there's a connection. We work together. We fight together too amongst ourselves because of different orientation. Rock and the storm may come every which direction. So it's a very you need a Tai Chi or Aikido process of sensing and adjusting with the intuition, but also with the right logic. So that's what I believe we have to move forward. And I think it's about 20 minutes, so that's good enough if there's anybody listening. But I thought I'll just try to capture and have re-energizing by finding who really I am and live a better life continuously and be